Hi, Misha here, and now we're up to episode 4 in Bounty Hunters of Star Wars, and this is a 2-pack, as they should be. We have 4-LOM and Zuckuss, or 4-LOM and Zuckuss as they should be, plus Zuckuss' ship, the Mist Hunter. But also, right now I'm recording with the GoPro 8 I've been using for about 2.5 years. This video, I'm going to try out the new GoPro 11. It was kind of time. It was kind of to the point with this old camera where I was either going to have to buy some new batteries and new equipment, or just go to a new thing. And this had some features that sound quite interesting. And right off the bat, I already like this kind of new shell you can get that has a connection for media devices like my wireless mic here. I've got wired mics too. And believe it or not, I actually have more than just this little handheld tripods. I've actually got some pretty big tripods, but a little hard for me to use. So, for the rest of this video, we're going to use this. I'm going to see if I can make it overheat. And we're going to talk about these two alien bounty hunters and their ship. Of course, these were first seen in Empire Strikes Back and have been in Expanded Universe and even canon ever since. Alright, first clip with the new camera. This is default settings and learning curve. And remember, I'm blind, can't see what's on the camera, so we'll see how it goes. It's always a learning process, but I thought learning on the personal channel would be better than on the main one. Zuckuss. Although originally it was to be named Tuckus. And of course, some know it as 4-LOM. This is a male Gand bounty hunter. But it's an insectoid race. Brown, kind of leathery skin. It has silver, multiple aperture eyes. And not very tall, just under 5 feet. And around 150, 160 pounds. Now, Zuckuss has quite an interesting history, aside from just, different biology. In fact, some variants of his race weren't even lung breathers, but he was. He actually started off life as a Gand Findsman, kind of a mystic, a shaman, even a law enforcement officer. They were also known for tracking, and they were, at least Zuckuss said, they had kind of a sixth sense of things. But I think most would just think it was them using the Force. That said, the Empire would test him, and probably, much to his benefit, found that he was not Force sensitive, so no midichlorians. Oh well. But time and time again, Zuckuss proved that he was able to intuit the motives and intentions of his quarry and predict where they'd go, and was just a good tracker. So he worked as a findsman, a very high status position in his society. But as the profession started to die out due to changes, Zuckuss was one of the first of his race to leave his home. And he would soon become a bounty hunter, at least by 10 BBY, maybe sooner. He would work for the Bounty Hunters Guild, the Hutts, and Jabba specifically, and would do some contract work for the Empire, but was never like their main go-to bounty hunter, not like Bossk or Boba Fett, as it were. More on the fringes. He was actually very respected. His nickname was the Uncanny One for his tracking, finding skills. He was a very intuitive person, kind of going with the gut, and quite successful. In fact, Zuckuss's skills were in demand frequently, and so he was rarely for want of work. But he was an ammonia breather in a mostly oxygen atmosphere, so he has his respirator life support system with ammonia kept in liquid form. He also has a sensor net and a small computer on his front. And his primary weapon was a GRS-1 snare gun, a less lethal gun. Although sometimes he would carry a Blastech W90 concussion rifle. He was also known to carry a blade. That's one thing I do wish more of the Black Series did come with knives, blades. A few do, but not many. And he actually uses the foot stand quite well. I don't have to use the bigger grapple for display. And the original costume was quite interesting. Again, first appeared in Empire Strikes Back and would get a backstory eventually and be expanded upon. But it would take some time. Not a fan favorite, a bit of a sleeper compared to, say, Boba Fett or even Bossk, but still one of the originals. And it's really interesting to see a non-humanoid race. Zuckuss was definitely not a good guy, but wasn't black or dark gray. Kind of, lighter gray. Keep in mind, on his home world, he could be considered a law enforcement officer or something. So, to his own morality, he was quite true, if that makes sense. A refreshing change from, say, IG-88, sometimes Bossk, and others. I think that's what's kind of neat about the bounty hunters. The Empire was bad, the Rebels were good. The bounty hunters were in the middle, and to varying degrees. With that, let's talk about his equipment more, and his career, and how he partnered with 4-LOM. I'm going to, again, forget where the button's at on this camera, because it's slightly moved over. Oops. And I might have just inadvertently done a mic test because I realized my transmitter wasn't on with everything else going on. I forgot to do it. Unless I didn't, that means I had to re-record the first part because there was dead sound. Anyway, working with a new camera, it'll be interesting to see how it reacts to that. Moving on, this is the Mist Hunter, named after the ammonia mist of Gand. This is a customized, modified, and upgraded G-1A starfighter transport craft. It's actually a little bit smaller than Dengar's and IG-88 ship at about 15 meters. And it was purpose-built, custom-ordered by Zuckuss. He kind of did a collection once he was a bounty hunter and got funding together. He actually contracted with Biblos Drive Yards to build it, which was an old Separatist outfit. And it's an interesting heavy fighter type. It has a 2-person cockpit. Primary armament are 2 assault laser cannons, plus 1 tractor beam emitter. It has 2 engine nozzles in the back, and it has solar or power panels, kind of like a TIE fighter. Kind of a neat blend of Rebel and Imperial ship. Of course, this is kind of secondary canon, as most of these bounty hunter ships are from the old Titanium line. The only real feature is it does have an opening canopy, but this one's very tight, which is good. You don't want it flopping around, so I'm not going to mess with it. But like a lot of the later ones in the line, it's pretty well static. That's okay, though. I actually found this for a really good price. But, yeah, the Mist Hunter. This was meant for Zuckuss. Even though it's only 15 meters, because Zuckuss was relatively small himself, roomy enough. Although there are some discrepancies in its size. For example, I can believe it holds 2 people, but some sources say that it has berths for up to 8 people. I don't see how that's possible, even if they're GANed. It's also said it can carry up to a metric ton of cargo. Not really sure where. It does have quite a fast hyperdrive, Class 1, Class 10 backup, and its sublight speed in atmosphere is 1,000 kmh, which again in Star Wars universe is slow but not egregiously slow. And it should come as no surprise that the atmosphere inside was ammonia, because, well, that's what Zuckuss breathed. He could actually take off his mask and respirator system and relax a bit. It did have voice controls and other advanced features for its day and time. You know, it's kind of funny, the Star Wars universe looks dated, but in some ways Lucas was a genius. He kind of future-proofed it by saying a long time ago. So if people say our technology is superior today, fair enough, this happened thousands, tens of thousands of years ago, so nah. But yeah, he flew this throughout the Imperial era and into the New Republic era. For example, it was there at Hoth, and there when the bounty hunters met on the Executor. It was also sent to Nar Shaddaa several times. Just kind of around. Again, not a whole lot of info on it. I do like the look of the ship, though. It's one that, well, yeah, I like it a lot more than I thought I would. And it is Zuckuss' ship, giving him a way to get about. It's also possible there were 2 Mist Hunters, a larger transport, and a smaller fighter like this. So, what about his partner and their antics and exploits? And I forget the button is not where it used to be. Sorry. It's time. For LOM, for LOM, real world, at least the Apocrypha, is that LOM stands for love of money. Who knows, though? In fact, this character, while he appeared in the Empire Strikes Back, really didn't get a backstory for well over a decade. Really, he was just put in to fill out the bounty hunter scene, and they used kind of leftover and rejected CP-30 parts. In fact, the person inside the suit was Anthony Daniels' stand-in and stuntman and all that, so he's kind of an evil C-3PO. But also mixed with some IG-88 and, of all things, kind of Commander Data from Star Trek. He started off life, produced by Industrial Automaton, the makers of the R2 series, who did really good with Astromechs, but struggled to really break into the protocol droid market. But he was fitted with over 7 million forms of communication, 4,000 languages, and was intentionally given this kind of weird bug head to make him more familiar to insectoid races. He was at first sold assigned to a luxury liner. He was meant to be kind of the go-between with the ship's main computer and the passengers, but he was glitchy. His personality was considered corrupted, glitchy, faulty. There's different reasons, legends, canon, apocrypha, why this happened, but it happened. And he started off by stealing items of value from the passengers. But he got a little bored doing that on the ship, so he kind of went out into the galaxy as a thief and traitor, where he would run into Jabba the Hutt, who would help him over time override and upgrade his programming to become effectively an ad hoc assassin droid, a bounty hunter. 4-LOM was considered cold and calculating, but he also had a drive to improve himself, expand his abilities, programming. He was always writing, overriding, and overriding and writing his programming almost to the obsessive-compulsive level, which just kind of further exacerbated his behavior. Some, like I said, thought he was cold and calculating and ruthless. Other times, people reported him to actually be quite helpful, sympathetic, understanding, even kind. But you can kind of see two different programming matrices fighting within him. He was definitely kind of a lot of contradictions. From a character that had no backstory, he actually ended up with quite an interesting one. Whereas Zuckuss was kind of gray, 4-LOM swung back and forth between closer to black and sometimes white because, well, he's a droid. He has kind of black armor with rust spots. Not a lot of special internal stuff, although he was given stun gas to try to nab his prey better. That was internally fitted. And typically he carried the standard DLT-19 blaster rifle like we saw for Dengar. Sometimes he would carry the sniper rifle version, the DLT-19X. I'm going to try something here. One thing with this new camera was better image stabilization, so I'm going to spin him around and also shake the camera around a bit. Not trying to make you sick, I'm just curious how it does. Just playing around. Yeah, but basically he's a protocol droid, about 5.5 feet tall, weighing in a little bit heavier than Zuckuss at about 165 pounds. Like I said, he's got a little bit of armor plating, but not a crazy amount. Green eyes. Yeah. So he operated on his own with help from Jabba briefly. But around 9 BBY, the Hutt had a great idea to partner these two kind of polar opposites to form possibly the best odd couple bounty hunter duo. So yeah, they would partner together, they would do some early missions. In Legends, they would obviously meet Han Solo and Chewbacca because all the bounty hunters had to. That's just kind of part of Legends. And what really they found worked well. Zuckuss was well, he thought he used the Force. The Empire, probably for his fortune, thought he didn't. But he definitely was known to have an uncanny sense, even being known as the Uncanny One, to track down prey, to kind of predict where prey would go, which kind of goes back to him being a findsman. He also spoke in the third person. 4-LOM, being a droid, even if he was a bit of a psychotic one, or schizophrenic, multiple personality, what have you, was obviously operating on logic. And he had an interesting attitude towards Zuckuss. On the one hand, he kind of dismissed Zuckuss's claims to use the Force. On the other hand, 4-LOM was a droid that wanted to learn how to use the Force. Did he know this would be impossible for a machine? Yes. Yes, he did. 4-LOM wanted to learn how to use the Force. Again, contradictions. And you can understand why they said when they were paired up, after they learned each other's skills, they were quote-unquote unstoppable. You had someone with intuition and tracking skills, and you had someone able to accurately deliver shots, calculate odds, talk in all kinds of languages. They were a good team. And again, kind of on the more morally gray side of things. Certainly more so than IG-88. Maybe, definitely more so than Boss, too. And like I said, they would be there along with the Mist Hunter at Hoth and afterwards. Now, Legends and canon vary a bit. There's all kinds of stories. For example, a year after Hoth, they fought Boba Fett, who actually destroyed 4-LOM and reprogrammed him. There's a whole thing. Yeah. But one thing that seems clear is sooner or later they kind of joined in with the Rebellion and New Republic. I remember reading the stories of the bounty hunters in the 90s, and at that time Zuckuss's ammonia lungs were damaged, and the rebels who actually he captured at Hoth helped him get new clone lungs. But in most continuities, sooner or later, these two end up working for, if not actually joining, the Rebellion and New Republic. Which makes sense, because there was certain kind of law enforcement behind this guy, and I don't know. 4-LOM wasn't pure evil like IG-88. He was just confused. So, they both survive. And what do I think of these models, toys, figures? Like I said, the Mist Hunter itself I really like. I like the TIE Fighter panels. I like kind of the quasi A-wing / X-wing nose. The engines, this kind of thing back here, very World War II plane. And it's a good size. Of course, this isn't super high detail because it's the Titanium series. But these were like $10, so. I was really looking forward to 4-LOM. And I can't say I'm disappointed by him. But he just comes with the standard rifle. I think I would have been a little happier if he came with a special, specific gun. Maybe the targeting blaster version, the scoped version. Like C-3PO, he has somewhat limited movement, but that's okay. Protocol droids aren't exactly known for that. I've seen a lot of people that review these that really like this figure. I think it must be more of a looks thing, because to me, just feeling it, he feels okay. But not my favorite. Again, I think I would have liked more stuff. For example, IG-88 had 3 weapons and a backpack. This guy, again, just comes with this one somewhat generic gun and limited articulation. But as I've said before, articulation doesn't matter a whole lot to me. By the way, you can actually quite nicely pose this in his hands, but I didn't feel like doing it. We're trying out a new camera more than anything else. So, I'm not upset with 4-LOM, but he's okay. But Zuckuss, I wasn't expecting much out of this figure. In fact, I didn't pick this one up until quite a bit after 4-LOM, when I decided to go ahead and do all the bounty hunters. I really like it. He comes with his net gun or capture gun, which he's got these weird 3-fingered hands, but you can actually get it in there. It's kind of a old school revolver grip. If you try, it does actually fit in very nicely. And he's got a 4 grip you can hold on to. So he gets his own special gun. He also has his kind of computer pack, his hoses, his mask, his backpack, and he has a full and quite thick robe. So even though he's smaller, I like him better, and he does have good articulation for those who matter. But I think I just like it that he comes with accessories and his own special specific gun, and he's kind of a cool, slightly eccentric character in the Star Wars mythos. It's kind of neat to have a bug person. He has bubble wrap for eyes. The actress who played him could blow into these tubes and make some bubbles go through the waters. But like most of the bounty hunters in Empire Strikes Back, they were just there for a scene. So, which do you like, Zuckuss or 4-LOM? And what do you think of the Mist Hunter? I'd wager it's not a ship commonly seen. But yeah, these are almost always paired as a team. Even friendship. Both saved each other multiple times and complemented each other very well. So I kind of like, in my own headcanon, that they joined the rebellion, or at least helped him out. I didn't. And like IG-88, I'm cool with him dying. But, I don't know. I will say, as far as backstories, whereas Zuckuss is interesting, for LOMs, it's just fun. He has a fun story to read. I will give him that. Again, I just wish he came with maybe a backpack and a different gun. Even a pistol. Oh, and Zuckuss is said to use ammonia bombs. At least that's what he says. I'm sure it's just his farts, because, that's a great way. Then again, if you can weaponize your farts, you're ahead of the curve as a bounty hunter. These are neat. I like the alien stuff and just kind of the weird, goofy things. Definitely takes me back to my childhood. So with that, how do you like the new camera? Here's the old one. It's served well for 2.5 years, but the door's not missing. I just took it off because I used it for the headphone jack. I was actually afraid the 11 would be quite a bit bigger. It's not. It's a little bit, but not much. But sometimes this actually felt a little small to me, so yeah. Unfortunately, they don't take the same batteries. So I've got to get a whole new set of batteries. But one thing that was wearing out on this camera were the old batteries. They weren't holding the charge like they used to. So I figured I was going to have to do that anyway. So yeah, this is our first initial test. We'll see how it goes with Zuckuss and 4-LOM. 4-LOM and Zuckuss. With that, please do like, share, and subscribe. Feel free to comment. And I'll be using this camera. My cousin also bought one this weekend when we do some more videos and Q&As and stuff for the Patreons. For what it's worth, if you want, I've got a Patreon that mostly is for the main channel, but feel free if you'd like to go over there on this channel too. This is Misha. Catch you very soon. Next time. See if I can find the button right.